And we could go through all the reasons.
Sorry, guys.
I don't come to
on.
speak to you as a professor,
I'm watching the
meaning
funeral
to
service.
give you all the academic explanations. I come to you as your policymaker. You elect me to address these issues, even the issues that you don't agree with or what you don't understand sometimes. You put trust and confidence in your elected leaders to address the issue. 3 years ago, we started to look at the issue of violence in a serious way. We have established an anti-violence commission, which is being led by one of Jamaica's foremost academics on children development, Professor Sams Vaughan. They will be giving me an interim report very soon as to some measures that the government will have to take to address this epidemic, this disease of violence in the society. Nevertheless, there are some actions which we have already started to take to treat with violence. Number one, we have laid in Parliament a new Firearms Bill, which has increased the penalty for the use, trading, and distribution and possession of firearms. Most of the murders in Jamaica take place with the use of firearm, with a gun. So we have to treat with that tool of violence, the gun. We are coming with a new Bail Act. Many of the perpetrators of violence come back out and are able, while they are being processed for a charge, they come back out and they commit crimes. And many of them end up murdering again. We have to treat with that. We are reviewing the Zones of Special Operations Act to improve it. It is working very well. It is bringing peace to many communities that were formerly conflict-torn. We are revising the Offenses Against the Persons Act. Now that is the bill, the act that will deal with when you get into a fight with somebody and you get beat up or you get abused. Those penalties and some new offenses would have to be created. We are revising the Sexual Offenses Bill, Act rather, because we are seeing emerging new trends in sexual abuse, sexually motivated violence, including cyber issues that we have to treat with. And we are in the process of, and in fact, very advanced in reviewing the Domestic Violence Act, which will give greater protection to vulnerable people in our society. We are also reviewing the Child Care and Protection Act. And in that act, we will make an amendment to ban corporal punishment in Jamaica.
Really?
When you put all of those together, what you will have is a stronger, more robust system of treating with violence in Jamaica. That is from the legislative part of things. That's from the law part of things. But we need to have now, in Jamaica, a process for us to come to grips with violence. And when I say come to grips, here's what I'm talking about. Number one, when a violent act occurs, we can't just leave it up to the victim and the perpetrator to resolve the matter. Oftentimes, the violent acts will go to court. there may be some kind of mediation, but the victims are still hurting. And that hurt sometimes gets transformed into revenge. So the state has to be far more active than it is now in ensuring that we give support to the victims of murder, the victims of crimes, the victims of abuse. The second thing that we have to do is to have a system of early detection, early intervention, and early warning. What do I mean by that? In this instant case, the perpetrator came to the attention of law enforcement before this. There was no follow-up intervention to determine whether or not this person would commit an act in the future. But that is just how our system is. But we have to change that. So right now, we will have to develop a new way of identifying violent perpetrators in our society and getting them into programs much earlier. Because the truth is, if when this young man who is accused of this act came to the attention of law enforcement before,
accused him plead guilty.
Even if a case was not brought before the court, that young man should have been given serious intervention, serious counseling, and follow-up to ensure that he's not harboring evil intent throughout his life. And there are many young people in Jamaica like that who have experienced violence, who have used violence themselves, or they have been the victims directly of violence. And they don't know how to treat with it, other than to hold it in themselves, hold it in their hearts, until an event occurs or an opportunity presents themselves again, and then they end up becoming the perpetrators of violence on someone else. So aside from the legislation which we are doing, we are devising a new program and system of intervention to ensure that especially our young people are not bottling up the violence, waiting for it to explode sometime down the road to create this cycle of violence. So, friends, family, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to offer my condolences to the family. I went and I paid my condolences personally. I decided to sit through the entire proceeding, to listen to what all the speakers have said, to look at your faces and observe and hear your comments, to get a sense as to how the community is coming to grips. I think the funeral is important in putting closure to the issue. But I am not quite convinced that we have learned the lessons that we need to learn about violence. I'm not convinced. And I'm saying it here for all of you who are listening, that the government will act in a decisive way to change the structure of our legal system and to give greater attention. But ultimately, it comes down to our heart. What do we believe in our heart? Are we willing
the heart of man is wicked.
to forgive?
The heart
Are we willing
is wicked.
not to use violence? Are we willing to seek peace and not escalate simple situations into conflict? It depends on what we do. So as we celebrate our freedom, 100 and
military service.
what is it, 24,
The emancipation
no,
service.
138 years ago. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to use our freedom to do anything we choose? To kill our loved ones? To be violent in how we react and interact with each other? Or are we going to use our freedom to create the peaceful, loving, gentle, caring society that we all wish for Jamaica? Ladies and gentlemen, I love you.
Okay, Mr. Prime Minister, big up yourself.
I care about you. I want to see the best for you. So as
Wow.
we lay these 5 souls to rest, let us all commit to doing what we can to end violence in our home and in our community and in our country. God bless you. Love you.
God bless you too, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister, for that powerful speech.